Harper from Zion Law School. Okay, this is the free astrotheology course. Our course textbook is the Gospel and the Zodiac, the secret truth about JC, the Christ figure. The author is Bill Darrell-El. All right, so let's get to it. We are still on page 22. Make sure you watch the last 7 or 8 videos that I did on who is the man with the jar of water. We're on page 22. I'm not going to do the review. We're on page 22, so you're going to have to go back and watch that. All right? So let's begin. We pretty much completed Leo, at least to my satisfaction. There was one point that I did want to bring out. Better yet, if y'all want to find out more about the zodiacal keywords associated with the heart, if you want more than what I provided already, you're going to have to do that yourself. Keep in mind that you always see JC the Christ figure in the paintings with a heart, right? Either the heart that looks like an organ or a heart, okay? Or a heart, a red heart. So anyway, so let's move on. Seems like they, well, all right, Virgo. So we're with Virgo now, page 22. Oh, man. Virgo, page 22. I'm going to stop coming to this place. Very, very rude to their customers. All right. Y'all know when you travel overseas, Robo writes, Shalawama. Shalawama in Islam, Robo. Good to see you. You know when you travel overseas, as a Moor, but they may see me as somebody from India. A lot of people make that mistake. But what I've noticed, no matter where you go, you're usually going to find some level of disrespect from some people. Like, for example, they see you doing a live stream and they turn the music up or something like that. And I often wonder, because most of the time it's people who look like me. Like when I was in Mexico. You know who I got the worst treatment from? It was the dark-complected Mexicans. It was the darker complected Mexicans that gave me problems, right? And I'm not saying that the pale faces, that they were thinking innocently. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that it was the darker complected ones who had the nerve to be disrespectful. But the pale ones very rarely did. Maybe they were, doing the pretend game that they do. But anyway, we make it do what it do. All right. But yeah, you'll find that, especially in Asia. It's really surprising because in Asia, you'll see the people are affected. They have a white supremacy mind, not as a white supremacist, but as the oppressed. Same mindset we have in the States, in North America rather. They have that same oppressed people's mentality, regardless of their skin tone. But of course, it's more so with the ones who are darker, who have a darker complexion. But they all have that oppressed people's mentality. And it really made me realize how the hybrid really has taken over the world and the mind of all the people in every country I've ever gone to. If y'all go to India, India is the worst. Their mindset, the oppressed people mindset in India is extreme. If not even worse than in the Americas. But what they have going for them is that they have their own institutions. So they don't have foreigners sabotaging them through institutions. But they told me also that their educational systems and things like that are terrible. So they have the same thing, the traders like we have. But anyway, at least they have their own, like in Mexico. So let's So this is a local coffee. It's black, no sugar, and it has a cacao taste. Cacao is chocolate. Cacao is what chocolate, the main ingredient of chocolate. So this has a cacao or chocolate taste. It's actually quite delicious. This is not the typical coffee bean that they give me when I come here. So I'm getting justice. I'm getting compensated with a better quality coffee than what they usually have. All right, so let's get into it, y'all. Virgo. Mark's Gospel. According to Bill Darlinson, the author of this book, the Virgo section of Mark begins at chapter 9. I hope y'all can hear me. Can y'all put a 1 in the chat if y'all can hear me? Can y'all hear this music in the background? Is the music loud? I gotta actually, I don't want to get a copyright strike. Bro, put a 2 if you hear the music. If the music is loud, if y'all can hear that. Could you do that for me? Wait a second. Hold on. Oh, the music is loud? Damn. Oh, man. Well, I'm going to ask if she'll turn it down. Hey, is it possible for you to turn the music down? The music. Can you turn it down? Oh my gosh. Let's see. All right, she did it. Thank you. All right. So we can do it now. Wow. Let me move over. I'm at a mall. Usually, I think I came here too late. Hold on a second, y'all. I really need a studio. That's the problem. Let me try to move away from the noise. Oops, from the entrance. Maybe I'll start doing this. But I don't want to pay for a studio. That's the problem. I don't want to pay for it out of my pocket. And I don't have support. At the moment, at least. I'm almost 2 years into doing the astrotheology and still no support. But I need to make a new YouTube channel because I need to actually start over with a whole new YouTube channel because this one is shadow banned. But I've been doing it. I really need to focus on it and just get it done because I think this channel, nothing's going to come from it because the people won't support by liking and sharing. It's so unfortunate, but it's not the people that are inside of them are bad. It's just that the mindset of the people. And it's not their mindset. It's the mindset. Remember we talked about the Hermetic law of nature? That's the mindset that has been put on us by our oppressors using the Hermetic law of nature, right? So they have willed us to be uncooperative and indifferent towards each other, right? And to worship them as their gods. Okay? But anyway, Virgo begins at Mark chapter 9, verse 30. And the Virgo section ends at chapter 9, verse 50. So Virgo is only 20 verses. The main events or incidents that the author makes these 20 verses of Virgo is the teaching on humility. So we definitely know that's Virgo, right? Humility. Little children. So there's what JC said about the little children. I'm assuming that's what he's talking about, but we shall see. And the warning against passivity. Why can't I say the word? Passivity. The zodiacal key words, service. So we know that's Virgo, right? Simplicity, that's Virgo, right? The modest woman. Service to her family and the community. She's simplistic, modest. Pure, the virgin, right? Well, they have modesty here. But then pettiness. Petty. So is there a relationship between modesty and pettiness? Are they extreme opposites of one another? Modesty and pettiness, are they extreme opposites of one another? Are we looking at polarity? Let's get into it. Okay, so Virgo. Y'all know who Virgo is, right? Virgo is the mistress of the sea, Mary. JC's mother. So I don't know if I'm losing the connection. I don't know if I'm losing the connection or not, but if so, bear with me. Bear with me. But again, JC's mother is Mary, who is the virgin Virgo Mary. Mary, myrrh, as in Marina, maritime. Mary is the mistress or whore of the sea. Right? How do y'all Christians like that? And then why is she associated with the sea? Why is JC's mother associated with the sea? Maritime law, the Raphaim, Dogon o Annis, mermaids, right? Okay? Christian canon law. So we get into all of these things when we're dealing with the sea. All of these concepts deal with the sea, being civilly dead, bondage, religion, Christianity. Islam and Christianity, the same thing. So anyway, let's get into it. Virgo and Mercury, we're on page 130, scholars. Page 130. So here is the glyph for Mary. All right, here's the glyph for Mary. So, by the way, whenever this is something for students, I keep getting a signal that I'm losing the live stream. When you learn, when you study, it's more important to be able to distinguish one thing from another than it is to go and try to remember what things are. Okay? If you study that way, you will study in such a way where you can prepare in advance for an exam and cover every question before it's ever presented to you on a test question. Because when you take an exam, if you're in a good school, they're not so much interested in if you know what things are. See, that's easy. They're interested in if you can tell the difference between one thing and the other. In medicine, we call it a differential diagnosis. Y'all understand? So if you misdiagnose, you kill the patient or you harm your patient. So when you study, this goes for all fields of study. Know how to distinguish one thing from the other and study that way. Okay, I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. Don't forget who gave you that. So when you get to your bachelor's degree, master's degree, law school, medical school, PhD level, whatever, that should be your approach to studying. Okay? If you take that approach, I just saved you a lot of heartache, a lot of suffering, a lot of pain, and potentially a lot of money, where you won't fail a class and then have to take it again, or sweat tears and bullets because you might get kicked out. All right? That is the most effective way to study. So, for example, take a look at these zodiac signs here, the glyphs. So to demonstrate, what should you do? We're dealing with Mary. So take a look at the signs. Which of these signs look like, not Mary, but Virgo. Which of these zodiac signs look like the Virgo glyph? Which one? Well, this one, right? This one. Oh, Okay, so I lost the connection again. I don't know if y'all still with me, but I'm gonna keep going. So now, your task should be to study how to identify one from the other. That's your goal. Know how to identify one from the other. Don't study what this is and what that is. That's superficial, low-level learning. Again, knowing what this is and what that is, that's superficial, low-level learning. Focus on being able to distinguish one from the other. And if you do that, there's no exam question could ever be written that you will not already have the answer for or answer to. Okay? Because that's what exam questions are meant to do if you go to a good school. So it's not regurgitating things from memory. It's thinking. Clear? So use the same approach. Okay? So whenever you study, to make it easier for yourself, I don't like using mnemonics. You can come up, and y'all can research this stuff. You can create very bizarre, weird stories, crazy stories, okay? Based upon the information you have about Mary or whatever the topic. You create these crazy, ridiculous stories. And that will help you to remember. The more crazy and ridiculous the story, the easier it is to recall. Why? Because it's unique. Okay? But then you got to rehearse it. But that's a whole other story. But I'm going to let that go right there. So here we are, Virgo and Mercury. So let's start our process of confirming that what the author says are the main events are actually in these verses, and that the key words are actually key words. That's the whole point of this. Okay, so page 130. Give me a second, let me scan through this. Very interesting point on page 130. Virgo was considered to be the leading constellation in the zodiac circle. Y'all have that? Our ancient ancestors. For our ancient ancestors, therefore for us too. Virgo, let me read it again. Let me start from the top because this is extremely important. We noted in the chapter on Aries that in the ancient world, Virgo was considered to be the leading constellation in the zodiac circle. That means Virgo was number one. That means the year started with Virgo. Okay, the year started with Virgo. What does Virgo have in her hand? Wheat? Can y'all put a number 3 in the comment section if we still have a signal or if the signal is coming in and out? A number 3 if there's a signal, because I keep having to, I keep getting a signal that the stream has stopped. Can somebody be kind enough to put a number 3 in there? Okay, so why is it important? Because we have to return to the ways of our ancient foremothers and forefathers. So if they began the zodiac cycle with Virgo, that means we also should begin our cycle, our zodiac cycle, with Virgo. So we need to correct that, okay? We noted in the chapter on Aries that in the ancient world, Virgo was considered to be the leading constellation. Okay, thank you so much. William Dose, thank you, appreciate that. All right, everybody got that? So from today forward, our zodiac begins with Virgo. Not Aries, but Virgo. Why? Because for our ancient ancestors, they began the zodiac cycle with Virgo. Okay? Y'all remember Exodus chapter 20, verse 12. Honor your mothers and your fathers. Honor your ancient foremothers and forefathers, so that it may go well for you in the land that I am giving you. Okay? So that was the way they did things. We need to do it that way also. The association of Virgo with birth and children makes it an appropriate starting point for any symbolic account of the spiritual journey. So I watched, I think it was in the Hermetic, I think it's in the Hermetic, I think it's in the Kabbalion. The three initiates referred to space, the cosmos, as spiritual or something like that. So based upon that, I'm going to, this phrase here, spiritual journey, I'm going to look at spiritual journey. I'm going to define spiritual journey as the path, or let's say your walk through each of the 12 constellations in the zodiac. Okay, for now, that's going to be you can choose something else. But for right now, because in this book, they don't define spiritual. And if you look at spiritual at its etymological meaning, spiritual journey makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Okay, it's nonsense. It's a word salad. So I'm going to define this for right now based upon this context. Again, based upon this context, the spiritual journey is the S-U-N, the orb in the sky, its walk through each of the 12 constellations in a 1-year period. Okay? So as above, so below. The Hermetic law of correspondence. I am the Christ. You are the Christ. So it's my walk through each of the zodiac signs. All right? During a 1-year period. I'm going to look at, that's my working definition. You can agree or disagree, whatever, I'm sharing it with you. For this context only, our spiritual life begins not with our natural birth, but with our rebirth. So this implies what? Reincarnation. Reincarnation is associated with what? Hermetic law scholars. Who can put this together? Reincarnation. Reincarnation speaks to, or has to do with, or is affected by, which of the Hermetic laws? Put it in the comment section. Don't worry about if you're right or wrong. Just don't guess. Not a good idea to guess. Just put what you think. So if you put what you think, then you can correct the errors that you made in your thought process. But if you just guess, well, there's no ability to correct your thinking. Okay, so think. Don't be lazy to think. Think. Yeah, so reincarnation is associated with rhythm. Reincarnation is associated with rhythm. Okay? Reincarnation is associated with rhythm and also what? The law of correspondence. Why? Because of compensation. Because of compensation. So I talked about Emerson's essay that he wrote on compensation. Napoleon Hill wrote about the law of compensation. If y'all read the Think and Grow Rich, or I think it was the 17 Principles of Success, he's written so many books where he talks about this. So the essence of compensation is that the books always get balanced, right? So the pendulum swings. So with each swing that, let's say, may lead to suffering, there's an equal and opposite swing where you will receive pleasure, happiness, or whatever it is that you're seeking. If you suffer, you'll get the reward. It's an equal swing of the pendulum, right? So that's what's involved here. So take note of these natural law principles, because especially correspondence and rhythm, because they cross, and y'all Christians, y'all religious people probably getting real upset, calling me a devil and a blasphemer and everywhere else, right? Oh, Dr. Yasapa talking about reincarnation. But anyway, that's how it goes. Okay, so the pendulum swings over many lifetimes. All right? So you may be experiencing something today that has something to do with another lifetime. Karma. But anyway, y'all study the Kabbalion and you'll learn more about this, okay? These concepts of how these natural laws work. All right. Now, I'm not telling you need to believe in rebirth, I'm not saying that at all. I'm explaining the natural laws to you. Okay? All right. So our spiritual life begins not with our natural birth. Baby comes out. Baby is delivered, right? But with our rebirth. So let me ask y'all this. When was the first, if there is a rebirth, that means there was a birth that preceded that. When was that first birth? Or can you count the number of generations back? How does that affect this whole philosophy? Was there an initial birth? Y'all think. Unless a man is born again, it's a rebirth, says JC to Nicodemus, he cannot see the kingdom of capital God. This is John chapter 3, verse 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. The first perfect natural number. Y'all see how these verses are coded? This is numerology, y'all. Unless a man is born again, a born again man had what? A born again man, according to Christianity, he has the Tetragrammaton's favor, right? He's in good with the quote-unquote Father. He will be made perfect. Oh, is it any coincidence that this is John chapter 3, verse 3? 3 plus 3 is 6. 666. The first perfect number in nature. Y'all see that? You must be born again. Rebirth. So, I just shared with you the alleged spiritual. I'm talking from the Christian doctrine point of view. The Christian doctrine point of view is you need to get baptized or whatever your doctrine is. You need to be reborn when you accept the Christ. And I shared with you the Hermetic or natural law principles that undergird physical phenomena, and we are physical, aren't we? Which is you expire and then you come back. Expire and come back. All right? Expire and come back. Or what? Some people call it reincarnation. Okay, I know it's controversial, but I'm speaking about the Hermetic laws. I'm not pushing the doctrine. Let me make that clear. I don't care really what you believe. That's on you. I'm only here to give you information. You got to do your own thinking. So now you see the natural law, the law of correspondence, and the law of compensation that's involved with that Napoleon Hill wrote about, that Emerson wrote about, the law of compensation. Okay? And the law of rhythm. These can take place in your present lifetime, according to the Kabbalion, or it can happen over a series of lifetimes. And you can be paying for something in this lifetime, that would be karma, or you could be you can be enjoying something as compensation from an equal or equivalent amount of suffering that you experienced in another lifetime. Okay? So that's the swing of the pendulum. All right? Equal and opposite swing. Clear? Now, can that swing be avoided? Absolutely. Can it be stopped? No. Why not? Because it's a natural law. But you can use a law that the Kabbalion refers to as neutralization. As neutralization, where you can avoid the toxic swing. Okay? Through the use of what? Your willpower. Your will is masculine energy. Again, your will is masculine energy, so that would be what? That would be the Hermetic law on mental gender. Mental gender. Your I am, is consciousness, it's non-local. It's everywhere, but nowhere at the same time. It's non-local. Okay? So watch the other videos if y'all want more on that. And this is a primary mechanism that our oppressors are using against us. And we are unaware. We're unaware that they're doing it. So y'all learn about hypnosis, learn the Silva method. Silva method is a technique of healing emotional trauma. You want to learn more about that, all right? So let's get back into it. The Jews called this harvest constellation. Harvest constellation. Cosmically, when does a harvest occur? It occurs in the covenant of grace. The covenant of grace. So we, autochthonous Moors, Genesis chapter 2, sprung from the soil, listen to me, the rightful heirs of all land, all commerce, all contracts, all resources, all energies terrestrial and cosmic. We are the law, and it's a well-established principle in law that land and law are inseparable. Moors are land by lawful definition. Check it in the law dictionary. Therefore, Moors are the substance and subject matter of the law. Again, Moors are the substance and subject matter of the law. Now, do you see why? Do you understand why our year begins in the covenant of grace? Because we're the beneficiaries. Everything is created, everything is here rather, I didn't mean created. Everything is here for our benefit. We are the quote-unquote gods on this earth plane. Hope you understand that. And I'm not talking about, and I use gods connotatively. I'm not talking about Zeus, Odin, Woden, and all of that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about we have within us a creative faculty that allows us or empowers us to create our own reality, to use all of the materials, resources, and energies, all of our hereditaments, corporal and incorporeal. We have the capacity, the brain power, the capacity, the mind power rather, to organize and reorganize these things to create something new according to our desire. Y'all see that? That's how we are quote unquote gods. We have the ability to fly. We have the ability to create a cell phone. We have the ability to invent other things for our enjoyment and pleasure. Not just us personally, but for everyone. This is what makes us quote unquote gods. We have the ability to impact and affect our surroundings, meaning our lifestyle. We create that with our mind. Now, can our mind be hijacked? Obviously. I've been going through that, using the law of gender, etc., of mental gender, etc., etc., etc. Yes, your mind can be hijacked, and you can be polarized and in dishonor, so that the law of cause and effect will hit you with those curses. And no matter where you go in the world, because you are acting in this, you are polarized rhythmically in dishonor, meaning that you are dishonoring your ancient foremothers and forefathers. You have corrupted the blood of the contract. That's not blood from an animal. That's the blood of the grapes during the harvest. Yes, that is the precious blood of the grapes. The wine. How about that, y'all? How about that? We're in the covenant of grace. You've been given everything. All you need to do is ascend out of the womb and show up, and Mother Earth gives you her bounty. No work. It did no work. Aries is the covenant of labor. Aries is the covenant of work. All right? Christianity. Bondmen and bondwomen. Blacks, Latinos, Hispanics, Puerto Ricans, African Americans. All of you are stateless people. Not even the people. You're stateless persons. The corporate stateless person. You're a bondman and a bondwoman. You are in the covenant of work, and you're only good for, in that status, is giving your energy to other people who are willing to use their intelligent mind. You're cattle and chattel. In your present status. Why? Because you are out of harmony with nature. If you're an autochthonous Moor, you need to be following the Most High's commandments, which is natural law. And you need to speak natural law language. Clear? So yes, the blood of the grape. Y'all know, if you look at the harvest, is the climactic. I don't know what's happening with my connection, y'all, but I keep getting a message saying that the connection has stopped. But I'm gonna keep going. The climactic part of the year, meaning that everything in the whole year is done to reach the climactic point. You can liken it to man meets woman. Everything that happens, okay? They want to be together, however, let's keep it clean. Let's say they want to be together, okay? So they get busy. The climactic point in the sex act is an orgasm, right? That whole thing, that is the climactic point. All of that was done to reach an orgasm. Well, everything that happens in the year is done to reach the harvest. The harvest is the orgasm. Y'all hear me? The harvest is the orgasmic part of the year. All the work, all the investment, all the toil, all the whatever you did, or whatever takes place in nature, all of that is so that Mama Earth can reach that orgasmic point, the covenant of grace, right? Where now Mama Earth gives all of her vegetation, and everybody can eat and be married. And the highlight of that is what? The wine. The wine. Clear? So, when you're out of harmony with nature, now do you understand why it's called corrupting the blood of the covenant? You're disrespecting the climactic part of the year where you get the wine. So you corrupted it. This is not what we're taught in religion, of course. In other words, imagine you're having sex with someone and you're about to have an orgasm and then they mess it up. How you gonna feel about that? Was the same thing about natural law, right? When you disrespect or you corrupt the blood of the covenant, it's the same thing. Okay, you messing up the orgasm. And everybody knows how that feels. But anyway, let's continue with this. Let me make this distinction. In religion, you're in the covenant of labor. That's Aries. You need to work. You need to suffer. You need to suffer while you're on this earth plane. And then when you expire, you go to heaven and you get your reward. But you must pick up your torture stake or pick up your cross and suffer, just like the Christ. Give up all your earthly possessions. Y'all remember that? And if you lie about it, the deity will take your life. Right? And that's the covenant of labor. That's when you begin the year in Aries, springtime. Okay? But for us, and I've said this before many times, our year begins in the covenant of grace. Everything is set out. Show up. Eat and be merry. Enjoy the wine. You ain't did no work for it. Right? Why? Because you're the heir. You're the heir. You got other people. Right? You should think trust. You should be thinking trust law. Right? If you're the heir, we're dealing with trusts. Okay? Trust is a contract, right? A form of a contract. So the Jews, that's religion, called this harvest constellation, that's Virgo, Bethula, and associated with it with the tribe of Asher, of whom Jacob had declared his bread, keyword is bread, shall be fat. Virgo has a stalk of wheat or a stalk of corn in her hand. Y'all ever heard of cornbread or wheat bread? Right? So Asher, that's the association here. So that's Genesis chapter 49, verse 20. Symbolically, Virgo is the house of bread, which in Hebrew is Bethlehem. Beth meaning house, and Lechem, bread. All right, so Virgo is the house of bread. Okay, so Virgo is the house of bread, which in Hebrew is Bethlehem, where we become, quote unquote, children once more, stripped of our pretensions and our cynicism. So we become innocent and hopeful and open to the promptings of spirit. Okay, so now let's go back to page 22 and get some confirmation. Okay, so Virgo, teaching on the main incidents, teaching on humility, little children. So we're touching on little children right now. Warning against passivity, service, simplicity, purity, modesty, pettiness. Okay, so we're talking about the little children now, right? We become little children once more. Purity. So let's continue. The Gospel of Matthew and Mark are both prefixed by stories in which these themes are prominent. Mark, who has chosen to structure his narrative around the yearly cycle, beginning with Aries, has to introduce them halfway through. Okay. I don't know if I'm beating a dead horse, y'all, but I really want to emphasize we need to get out of this mindset of suffering. If you are suffering and involved in religion, you're in the covenant of labor. If you're an autochthonous morgue, you're in the wrong place. You need to return to the Most High Return to the covenant of grace. Again, in religion, you're in the covenant of labor, work, toil. So return to the Most High. Get in the covenant of grace. Polarize rhythmically and honor. Okay? So let me continue scanning. The ancient zodiacs invariably depict Virgo as a woman holding something. The Egyptian zodiac of Dendera, for example, the figure is drawn carrying a staff. Okay? And when she represents the Egyptian deity Isis, Virgo appears with wheat ears in her hand, so wheat bread, right? So hence bread, that's a connection to Asher, tribe of Asher. Or clasping the young Horus in her arms. So there's the connection with the little child or little children, okay? Isis and baby Horus, that's Virgo. This is also a representation of the zodiac sign Virgo, Isis and baby Horus. Okay? So the ancient Egyptians had two representations for Virgo. One is Dendera, who had a staff, carrying a distaff rather. Dendera carried a distaff, and then there's Isis, who appeared with a wheat ears in her hand, but another image, Isis appears with Horus. Okay, so we have three images from the ancient Egyptians to work with. In the Middle Ages, this ancient figure, that is Virgo, reappeared as a Virgin Mary. Y'all got that? When was it? In the Middle Ages. Who was in power in the Middle Ages? The Catholic Church. The Virgin Mary. What did the Catholic Church do? Well, clearly, they changed the image from Isis and Dendera to the Virgin Mary. No one else had the power to do it but them. And then what did they do? They went about waging war. The Virgin Mary, maritime, sea, the mistress of the sea. A mistress is a whore. Ask any woman. Well, at least I know about America, but in Asia, a woman will tell you, I don't want to be a mistress. The mistress is the side chick. Okay? And everybody calls a side chick a whore, right? Everybody calls a side chick a whore. Mistress. Mary, y'all search the etymology, mistress of the sea. Maritime law, well, admiralty, maritime law, canon Christian law. So this is the world of the Raphaim, right? The dead, those dead who live in the water. These are a name for Nephilim, giants, demons. So Oannes is a demon. Dagon, a demon. Clear? Which means that what? Which means that Mary, the mermaid of the sea, the mistress of the sea, is also a Raphaim, a demon. Clear? Y'all got it? In the Middle Ages, this ancient figure reappeared as the Virgin Mary with the child JC, the Christ figure. And in Titus Andronicus, Shakespeare, Shakespeare alludes to it as the quote unquote, the good boy in Virgo's lap. All right? So this is Mary. What is the Catholic Church? What should we know the Catholic Church for most as Moors? We should know them best for the doctrine of discovery and unum sanctum. Okay? That's what we should know them best for. And also the Sesticute Trust that they set up. Why? Because these are the mechanisms that they have used to make us uninheritable, to make us stateless persons, and to get us in this religious mindset, to detach us from nature. Okay? This is the mechanism by which they are ruling us, and it is through religion. Y'all listen to me. It's through religion and their media, but primarily their religion. They got a strong hold on our brain. They have us, as a people, completely brainwashed, completely defeated. But that's okay, because we don't need all of them. We just need a critical mass, and not even a large percentage. We need a critical mass, a critical number of Moors to return to nature and polarize rhythmically in honor. Polarize rhythmically in honor. Completely abandon religion, and they ain't scared no more. They're not under the influence anymore of religion whatsoever. We just need a critical mass to change their thinking and behavior. Your thinking would be what? You know your nationality. You have a strong I am. You have goals, measurable goals. And you're working a plan to achieve those goals. One moment. Let me let this machine turn off. I think it's their coffee grinder. In 1 second, y'all. One moment. All right, finally. All right. Where was I, y'all? Okay. I think I remember. We're talking about the Dogon. So those of you who are still in religion, the deities that you are worshiping is not the Christ that you think. You're worshiping the Dogon or Annis. Okay? That's my point. Let me continue. I want to bring something to your attention. Philology. So you see here in the paragraph we were just in, the author talks about the Virgin Mary with the child Jesus, and Shakespeare in his, I guess this is a play, Titus Andronicus. Shakespeare alludes to it as the boy and the virgin's lap. So this is an example of what? Using literature to understand scripture. So this takes us back into what science, y'all? Philology. So we deal with all of these different fields of knowledge to understand what a scriptural text means or a word means. Y'all see that? So we have to be very, very well read. We need to have an adequate, actually not even, you need to have a high level reading comprehension. You need to have very good reading comprehension skills. So if you're not there yet, don't worry, because 99% of our people are not there yet. You just have to build your reading comprehension skills, but that also means you need to build your critical thinking skills and your confidence. Some of y'all might need glasses. Some of y'all might need glasses and or a thicker or more powerful lens. Don't be ashamed with your game, because generally speaking, after 40 years old, between 40 and 43 years old, your vision will usually decline significantly. I don't know why that is, but I think, just my opinion, I think it may have something to do with blood flow. I'm not sure. But I always intended to look into that. Clear, y'all? I remember where I was, where I left off. Okay, I was talking about the 100 monkey principle. We only need a critical mass of people to begin to follow the Most High's commandments, which is nothing more than not harming others. Not harming others means what? Acting honorably. Acting honorably means what? You're keeping the commandments. Keeping the commandments, not harming others. This is love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Tell me I'm wrong. Different ways of saying the same thing. Act honorably in commerce. Act honorably when you deal with other people. How do you act honorably? Well, don't do to somebody else what you wouldn't want done to you or your heirs. Easy, right? Very simple. And you might have to do what? you might have to take a loss to stay in honor. Okay, so you stay in honor at all costs. Big deal. Right? Remember the law of compensation. So you're not going to lose anything. The pendulum will swing back your way. Y'all see that? All we need is a small number of people, a small number, to completely abandon religion, stop its practice, no longer afraid of dying and burning in hell, no longer afraid of any of the things that they made us afraid of in religion, and you harmonize your life with nature, follow the Most High's commandments. Once we reach that critical mass, the whole population will adopt the same behavior. Let me repeat that. The entire population of our people will adopt the same behavior. Usually I reserve this kind of speak for my Saturday class. All right? Is it by magic or some deity? No. It's by the laws of nature. It's by the observed laws of nature. Okay? That's how I know. No magic, no hocus pocus, no devils and demons coming in to do anything for you. It is the laws of nature. The same way no devil or demon made you sick, gave you diabetes, gave you heart disease. No, it was a law of cause and effect. Because of your diet and your lifestyle, right? But if you were born with something, that could be which of the Hermetic laws? It could be compensation, right? Correspondence. Or rhythm. Because remember, the lives, it's not just one life. I'm speaking according to the Hermetic laws. Okay, if y'all want more on this, get the Kabbalion, read the Kabbalion by the three initiates. But it's a series of lives. Okay? So the pendulum swings back and forth equally in both directions. Y'all got that? So that's what I'm talking about. Don't get it twisted. Okay, then let's continue. The image of Isis with Horus in her arms has become, in Christian iconography, the Virgin Mary. Why did they replace Isis with Mary? That's a good question, right? Why? The Virgin Mary carrying the child JC. Why did they do that? That's not the topic of what we're dealing with right now. Look at the last sentence on page 131. It reads, the early fathers, that's the early church fathers, and the early artists, this is when Catholicism was on the come up. They were very materialistic. They were stealing people's birthright, not stealing it and murdering them and terrorizing them and killing off all of the scientists and engineers. They're on the come up. They want to establish religion as the only paradigm with no opposing or alternative paradigm, worldview. That means kill off science. Hence, This is why our ancient ancestors, the Coptic Egyptians, wrote the Gospels to preserve the ancient knowledge of the cosmos. The early fathers, these warmongers, and the early artists, why do you think they painted these images? So that you could see them, right? Putting images in your mind, isn't that mental gender? That's they are executing or implementing the law of mental gender. That's masculine energy, forcing you to see something. Y'all see? The early fathers and the early artists took over these images intentionally. Campbell, published in 1988, page 222. Why did they do that? Because they wanted to impose their masculine mental, they wanted to impose their masculine mental gender energy on the people. They had a weak I am. So they were conquering them mentally through images, through fear, etc. Y'all know that fear, you can hypnotize a person very quickly and easily when they're in a peak emotional state, especially fear. Did y'all know that? This is an example of psychic attacks. This is what you're looking at here is the church using the Hermetic law of mental gender against the people as a weapon. The masculine energy, not sexual, masculine mental energy to overtake their victims, to overtake the Moors, who had a weak masculine energy, so that the churches would interact with the Moors' feminine, that's how it works, and produce a mindset, value system, self-image, belief system, and behaviors that supported the church and its paradigm. Clear? That's why they did this. This is why they do this in media. This is why they give you actors and entertainers who are disgusting in their look and lifestyle. It's a psychic attack. The law used specifically is mental gender. Clear? All right. Okay, so y'all know when this says that JC was born of a virgin, that means that JC was born in the constellation Virgo, way back then. Okay? Equally, let me skip through this. I have to be disciplined and stay on topic. We're dealing with the content in the table. So let me but when I see something that's very interesting, I'll bring it to y'all attention, okay? Okay, let me see. Now this is interesting. This is interesting. All right. So I'm on the first paragraph on page 132. The feast of the Assumption of the Virgin is celebrated on the 15th of August. Every year, the 15th of August, the feast of the Assumption of the Virgin. And the birth of the Virgin is celebrated on September 8th of every year. On or around the first of these dates, the sun sun leaves the constellation Leo and approaches Virgo. Okay, so that's common sense, right? The sun enters Leo at a 30-degree angle. Christ is 30 years old when he begins his ministry. The sun leaves Leo at a 33-degree angle. Christ dies at 33 years old. Okay, so we're in Leo. Now the sun sun is entering Virgo at 30 degrees. Okay, that's where we're at. So imagine that. Imagine that. That's where we're at. On or around the first of these dates, the sun sun leaves the constellation Leo and approaches Virgo. So it's going to enter Virgo at 30 degrees. It enters all the constellations at 30 degrees and exits at 33. The powerful rays of the rising sun apparently eliminate the fainter lights from Virgo stars. The Devil's Pulpit goes into this in great detail. The Virgin is quote unquote assumed. The Assumption of Virgo, the feast, the celebration, the Assumption of Virgo, celebrated on August 15th. The Virgin is quote unquote assumed into the glory of the sun. In other words, the sun sun, its brightness, its glory outshines the brightness or the glory of the constellation Virgo. This is how I'm understanding this. The Virgin is quote unquote assumed into the glory of the sun, or as the book of Revelation has it, she, that is Virgo, is clothed with the sun. In other words, the sun's brightness overpowers the brightness of Virgo, and now you can't even see Virgo anymore. Why? Because the sunlight is too bright. So therefore, Virgo is clothed with the sun. Or as the book of Revelation has it, Virgo is quote unquote clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars on her head, end quote. That's Revelation chapter 12, verse 12. All right. Astrological. Too many coincidences for this not to be the case, right? It's completely astrological. On September 8th, the Virgin is quote unquote born as her stars once more become visible at sunrise. Y'all see that? Y'all see that? Let me do it again. I'm not going to go through everything, just the dates. The feast of the Assumption of Virgo, or the Virgin Mary, is celebrated on August 15th. Okay, so that's when the sun, the sunlight, the brightness of the sun is entering into Virgo, and the sun's brightness is so bright that you can no longer see the constellation Virgo. So the sun is clothed with the sun, and the moon is at her feet with 12 stars, with a crown of 12 stars around her head. But then, on September 8th, there's the birth, the celebration of the birth of the Virgin on September 8th. This is when the sun has passed by, and now you can see Virgo again. Clear? So we have a footnote. Owing to the precession of the equinoxes, these dates no longer apply. Now the SUN sun passes through Virgo from mid-September to late October. Okay, so I think that's clear enough. I don't need to talk about that anymore. But let's try to get to the information in the table. This is just really fascinating to me. I really enjoyed this stuff. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I do. I hope you don't mind me going off topic. If you don't like it, too bad for you that you can't appreciate this information. But if you do like it, congratulations, right? Congratulations. Let's see. Okay, so here we go, y'all. Here we go. I'm still on page 32. All right. So Menelaus sees as both the strength and weakness of Virgo is modesty. So we saw modesty in the table. Okay, so modesty is associated with Virgo, but we already knew that, right? Give me 1 second. One moment, please. Okay, so modesty. Modesty. Virgo is modesty. This is on page 132. Earth. Let me repeat that. Virgo is an earth sign. Okay, so obviously Virgo is the harvest, the covenant of grace, right? Which is our status, our natural status. That's where we belong, in the covenant of grace. But Virgo is also a mutable sign. And mutability, that means change, and earth are strange bedfellows. In other words, they don't go together. Earth is the element that responds least well to change. I would disagree with that. For example, the water cycle. There are many cycles. The Earth's ability to renew and regenerate itself. I would disagree with this. I don't agree with that. For example, the oceans. The oceans, the river, the oceans, the rivers, the streams. These all clean the earth, in addition to many other things. Now, can they be overwhelmed with toxins? Of course, right? Because there are some toxins that can that are produced by these hybrids that even a micro amount of them are poisonous enough to kill. Even though water is a very powerful solvent. Okay? So I think the earth, I disagree with the author strongly on this one. Earth is the element that responds least well to change. I totally disagree with that. Because we can build anything we want, as high up in the sky as we want, and it's not going to change anything unless we do what? Unless we pollute. All right. So earth is the element that responds least well to change, and love of variety is not evident in Virgo. Ah, you know what they may be talking about? I didn't think of this. If he's talking about life meaning genetics, for example, the genetics of a plant, the genetics of an animal, and the genetics of a man or woman, those do not respond well to change. In the context of creating hybrids. Why? Because hybrids generally cannot reproduce themselves. And hybrids are generally of inferior stock to the original. In other words, the Genesis chapter 1 genetically engineered kind of man, that colorable man, that human, that Han Uman, that hybrid troglodyte Paleolithic colonist nigger, is inferior due to its hybrid genetics than the Genesis chapter 2 autochthonous man sprung from the soil. Clear? Everybody knows that a hybrid is inferior, right? So for example, hybrids are usually what? Or quite often albino. They cannot take the sun to begin with. They have blue eyes, green eyes, etc. They have inferior vision. But in much more, they generally have, not generally, but they, as a medical fact, have more genetic diseases. They're stricken with more genetic diseases. Okay? Skin cancer, to exposure to the sun. It goes on and on and on. So if he's talking about earth in that way, I would agree. If he's talking about DNA in terms of it being able to repair and heal itself, I would strongly disagree. Because we have within our DNA mechanisms to repair, to recycle, repair, and rejuvenate every cell in our body. And here's a hint. Here's a hint. You can initiate that by not eating and drinking lots of water. Now, I'm not giving you medical advice. I'm sharing information with you. You talk to your doctor before you do anything. Okay? That will initiate a biological response called autophagy. Okay? Where the process I just described can take place. So I disagree totally with him if he's talking about that aspect of it. Okay, so earth is the element that responds least well to change, and love of variety is not evident in Virgo. Earth has a lot of variety. Earth has tremendous variety in terms of landscapes, different forms of life, everything from bacteria, fungus, amoeba, reptilian life like frogs, snakes, animals, herds. I mean, you name it. It has tremendous variety. So I completely disagree. Okay? So, and love of variety is not evident in Virgo as it is in other mutable signs. Now, maybe I'm not understanding what he's talking about, but I strongly disagree. Mayo considers that the mutable earth combination produces people who are, quote, self-repressive, passive, restrained, with qualities of practicality. Well, ain't nothing wrong with practicality, adaptability, and variableness. Let me read that again. The mutable earth combination. That means change, right? Mutable means changing. And remember, he said the earth doesn't want to change. It doesn't adapt well to change. So, according to Mayo, this changing and unwillingness to change combination produces people who are self-repressive. I guess what he means by, somebody should look that up. I'm not sure what he means by self-repressive. Oppressing yourself, passive, restrained. Okay, that means you don't pull the trigger. These people have qualities of practicality. Practicality for me is a good thing. These people have adaptability and variableness. This is coming from Mayo, published in 1964, page 46. These qualities, which manifest as an inability, so all of those qualities manifest as an inability to quote unquote to collate and catalog, to create order, to systematize. So these are indifferent, unorganized, or disorganized people. People in whom the Virgo principle operates strongly generally shun the limelight, so they want to be in the background. That's what repressive, right? They're self-repressive, passive, okay? But they are excellent workers. Now that's questionable, because you don't need to do any work in Virgo, right? Virgo is a covenant of grace. Roro writes, self-repressive, the keeping to oneself of one's thoughts, wishes, or feelings, habit or absolute self-repression, and of concealment of emotion, again, prevailed. Okay, thank you so much, Roro. Much appreciated. All right, so that's self-repression. So now we see what's happening. So these personality traits are not consistent with harvest time. Harvest time, you ain't doing no work. No work to be done, other than collect the harvest, right? And once you have all that, it's party time. Time to sit back and enjoy. But it says here, people in whom Virgo operates strongly generally shun the limelight. Well, Virgo is the climactic part of the year. So to me, it seems like they would want the limelight. Again, if we're talking about the sex act, the harvest would be the orgasm. They are excellent workers. Okay, so is this meaning that they are working to gather in the harvest? I would think not, because that's work. So that would be the covenant of labor still. So I'm seeing a remix here, y'all. These attributes appear to me to be in the covenant of labor, not in the covenant of grace. Okay, so Virgo people are able to provide a practical structure for someone else's grand, but hazy and unformed idea. I totally disagree with this. Because for me, it's common sense. Common sense. Virgo is the harvest. You got everything you need. What are you talking about doing work? Okay? Now it's time for me to shine and party. Right? Time for me to kick back, relax. When I say party, I mean with my kinfolk, not going to the club. That's not what I'm talking about. But that would actually be part of what? Part of the covenant of grace. Because you have everything you need. This is the time to be happy and to celebrate. But they're assigning work to it. Now, I'm just thinking critically about this, y'all. Okay? It's okay if you disagree with me. I'm not saying I know everything. Manilius says that the stenographer or scripter comes under Virgo. Quote, one who can record in novel notation the long speech of a rapid speaker. This is book 4, line 99. So these are people who have great attention to detail. They can listen and type. Very focused people. That's busy work, right? And the association of Virgo with secretarial work continues down to this present day. This aspect of Virgo as the devoted servant. Y'all got that? The devoted servant has been well described by Charles Carter. Virgo is not the sign of leadership, but of service. Let's go back to our, we got a lot of correcting to do with Virgo. So here the zodiacal keywords are service. Okay. Service. So we see service checks out. I'm not surprised. Why? I'm not surprised at all. Because it's the Catholic Church who switched the beginning of the zodiacal cycle from Virgo and made it Aries. Aries, springtime, you need to work, labor, invest energy and effort. And then they assign attributes to Virgo that have to do with the labor of work or the contract of labor. Y'all follow me? I'm not surprised at all. So this must be corrected. Okay, so Virgo is not the sign of leadership, but of service. It does not aim at brilliant results, but at useful ones. Well, nobody's seeking results once the harvest comes in. Everybody wants to enjoy themselves during the harvest, right? Unless you're selling your harvest or something like that. It is patient and does not turn from routine drudgery. Y'all hear that? Drudgery? Drudgery in the covenant of grace. So clearly, this needs to be corrected. Roro writes, what comes to mind, have a baby one day, go to work the next day. Indeed. 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 There's no drudgery, y'all, in the covenant of grace. For example, the Christians, they say that they're in grace. There's no drudgery in that. Okay, Virgo hates show and shuns responsibility and publicity. I would think that during the covenant of grace, well, that's when you're shining. Right? For example, you get a big contract. You make a big sale. You get a lot of fiat. Most people, what are they going to go do? They're going to go buy something. Right? A lot of people are going to buy bling. Jewelry, necklaces, cars, and houses. They're going to buy bling in their covenant of grace. Right? And if it's bling, that means that they're shining. Isn't that what we say? Don't block my shine. Don't steal my thunder. Don't try to steal my thunder. So Virgo hates show and shuns responsibility and publicity. Y'all know that ain't true about us. Our people want to floss. Even in Asia, y'all know that, and this trips me out. Y'all know that Asian people, like here, I see Asian people, they wearing bling. Sometimes I see them with gold on every finger, on the neck, baseball, hip hop out. Hip hop out. Same mindset. Same mindset. Okay, they love bling here. Showing off. Okay, so a Virgo is not ambitious, but is satisfied with the straight job. With a straight job and a fair wage. How is this the covenant of grace, y'all? So we see this is BS. We see this as total deception. So it has to be corrected, brought back to the story and characteristics that our ancient foremothers and forefathers had for Virgo before the Catholic Church changed it. Okay, y'all? So all of these, that stuff was taken from Carter, published in 1965 on page 73. Okay, so that's where we get our, or where the author gets service from. So now do y'all see the value? Does everyone see the value, scholars, of combing through this table with a fine-tooth comb? All right? Everybody see that? Okay, so now, the next paragraph. Translate the personality characteristics that we just read into spiritual categories. Here's what the author says. We can see that the Virgo phase of experience, this is for a Christian, is characterized by service. That would mean what? In the religion that I was in, you go out and, knock on doors. They call it a field service. Street corner work. With the Hebrew Israelites, you go out to camp, talking to people on the streets. Or if you're, let's say, if you're in the religious building that I was in, you would participate in cleaning the place up, the auditorium and the bathrooms, remodeling efforts, building new places where people worship. All of these things. If you're in the church, you do whatever y'all did in the church. I don't know, because I stopped going when I was very young. I don't remember. So that's one form of service, right? What you do physically. Discipleship. That's the evangelical work that you do. The teaching and preaching, as it were. Okay? Living out the precepts laid down by the spiritual master. In other words, you do what the priest or your religious leader tells you to do indirectly through the doctrine. And if you don't do it, they can excommunicate you, disfellowship you, kick you out, right? Ostracize you to make it look like you did some terrible wrong things. Make it illegal for your friends and families to talk to you. And many of them won't, because they don't want to get kicked out, or they want to stay in the graces of the deity, right? So they're able to effectively cover any dirt that they might do. All right? So it's a very, very good mechanism to cover and stop people from talking and finding out about the dirt that they do. All right? It's a form of bullying and intimidation. Right? Okay, so let's continue. So they say Mother Teresa is the best example of Virgo. Let's continue. Let's try to get confirmation on these other elements. Sacrifice. Sacrifice would be part of the service. Listen to this, y'all. A sacrifice to be real must cost. must hurt, must empty ourselves. In other words, give it up. Give up your money. Give up the tithe. Support all of the church projects with your money. Right? In some cases, give up the sex. Right? Y'all know that's how it happens. The sacrifice has to hurt. It has to hurt. This is the covenant of labor. That's the penalty you pay for being on the outside of the house in religion. Now, which do you want? Do you want to be civilly dead? Civiliter mortuus? Continuing in the punishments that you're receiving? Or do you want to be in the covenant of grace? In your proper jurisdiction, natural law, in your proper person. Okay, where you are the law, etc., etc. Pick a team. If you're on the wrong team, if you're in religion, get out of it. Okay, watch the last videos, the last 7, 8 videos I've done. I'm talking about the Hermetic laws of, well, let me rephrase that. Let me rephrase that. Learn who you are as a Moorish American or American Moor, as a foreign national or a Moorish national, a foreign national to the United States Corporation. Learn who you are. Get a strong masculine mental gender masculine energy about who you are. Watch the last several videos I did before this one. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, start there. Start there. And you'll be able to transition out of dishonor in religion and into honor. Okay? I give you the technique to do it. It's not hard. Learn who you are and don't harm anybody. That's the essence of it. All right? And do it. And do it. So if you're going to do it, that means you also need to be able to speak it. So there's an education involved. In education, you always have to pay something, right? Education is not free. It takes time, attention. It takes time, attention, resources. You got to cut some things off, bad habits. And you got to cut some people off. And it costs fiat. All right? So develop a strong will, a strong masculine will. Okay? Let's continue. Okay, so now in the last paragraph on page 134, it's talking about religion. The religious nature of a human being, a Han Uman. Okay? Extol the simple, rational, practical aspects of religion, free from supernaturalism, that means no deities, and concentrating almost exclusively on behavior. Quote, let all the world practice the teachings of JC, the Christ figure, and the reign of capital God will come upon earth, end quote. So if you have religion without any deities, if you draw back, you're drawing back to nature. Drawing back to nature. Drawing back to nature means what? You are leaving religion and harmonizing your life with nature. What governs nature? the cosmos, the Mazzaroth, the Zoad, the sun as it travels through its annual course through the sky, the 12 zodiacs. So you're right back in the zodiac, y'all. Clear? Right back in the zodiac. But there's no worship of any deity. It's the understanding of nature and natural phenomena and the laws that undergird them, which are the 7 Hermetic Principles. Study the Kabbalion by the 3 initiates to learn about those laws that undergird the solar system and consciousness. Okay, so those 7 laws are but an expression of one law, which is called mentalism. Napoleon Hill calls mentalism divine providence and infinite intelligence. What is intelligence? Intelligence is consciousness. What is consciousness? Awareness. Who are you? I am. If you understand what I just said, congratulations. Wow, this is... Okay, so the following periods of 10 years, Mercury, to whom falls the second place in the second age, that of childhood, so here we get childhood, children, right? For the period which is half the space of 20 years begins to articulate and fashion the intelligent and logical part of the soul, S-O-U-L. You should note that that is a literary trick. No such thing as a soul. No such thing as a S-O-U-L. The Catholic Church made that up. It is the Latin word for sun, S-U-N, which is S-O-L, and they threw in a U. Okay? And then they came up with a problem and a solution. The problem is that this soul survives after death. And if you don't do everything that the priest or the church tells you to do in terms of their doctrine, if you don't follow their doctrine to a T, you go burn in hell. But wait, the solution is you give them your land and your gold, and they can get you or your kinfolk out of hell, or prevent them from going to hell and get them in heaven. So they monetized it. All right? See the religious remix that they came up with from the sun? Because we all have a sun, S-U-N, a miniature sun, as above, so below, inside of us that produces heat and all of the functions that the sun, the orb in the sky, gives to the earth. We have a similar sun, S-O-L in Latin, inside of us. They just threw a U in that. What's the function? The sun is like a battery pack, a power pack. Provides energy, heat that allows our body to function, metabolize, etc. They just threw a U in front of that and said it survives death. Problem, solution, complex, monetize it. See? That's what they did. That's a remix. Okay, so on page 35, we see information about children, which checks off in the table. Okay, so the little children, we saw teaching on humility. We saw passivity. There it is, passivity. I couldn't say it earlier. Virgo, we saw service, simplicity, purity, modesty, pettiness. We didn't see pettiness, so let me continue. Pettiness is the last one. So let's continue. Sometimes I keep getting these notices that my Wi-Fi signal is out. I hope y'all can still hear me. I hope you're still getting the feed. Listen to this, y'all. Listen to this. In the letter to the Philippians, chapter 2, verse 5 through 8. St. Paul expresses this concept. Wait, let me go back up some. Let me go back up some. This is the first paragraph. In the Leo section of Mark, JC informs us that in order to save our life, we must lose it. Y'all hear that? In order to save your life, you must lose it. Forget about the Christian doctrine associated with this. What's the opposite of life? Death. There's a physical death, right? In Christianity, they tell you there's a spiritual death, and that's part of the psychological terrorism. That's part of the psychological terrorism. If you don't follow their doctrine, they'll tell you that you're alive physically, but you're dead spiritually, while you're excommunicated or disfellowship, or whatever they call it in your religious organization. And if you physically die while you're spiritually dead, then guess what? You have no hope for everlasting life. You cannot get into the kingdom of the deity, and you are going to go to hell, depending on what your doctrine is. That is emotional terrorism. But that's not my point. You can die physically, but you can also die civilly. Y'all see the hidden message in this? Civiliter mortuus is civil death. Note, Jesus informs us that in order to save our life, we must lose it. Losing your life is civil death. How are you going to lose your life yet be alive? Check a law book. There's a concept called civiliter mortuus. You're civilly dead. You go from being the natural heir. You speak the law. You're the substance and subject matter of the law. You leave that status and go into religion. So you left life. You left life. You're the living man, the heir, the rightful heir. And then you go into religion. Okay, now you're civilly dead. You're in a civiliter mortuus state. You're a bondman and a bondwoman, and your hope is to go to heaven when you die, or be resurrected after you die, or what? I'm talking about a physical death. Or you hope that Armageddon comes while you're still alive, so that you can get this spiritual reward, which is this perfect or perfection, perfect life. Y'all see that? This is double speak here. Double meaning. Put a 1 in the comment section if y'all can see that. Put a 1 in the comment section. Let me know if you see it. JC informs us that in order to save our life, we must leave our status. We must give up our nationality and accept religion, accept Christianity. In order to save our life, we must lose it. Death is the opposite of life. This is Mark chapter 8, verse 35. And that suffering, this is the covenant of labor, y'all, suffering and self-denial. This is the complete opposite of the covenant of grace. Complete opposite. Y'all see what you see what you give up in religion? You're born with everything. You did absolutely no work, nothing to deserve it. You're just born in grace. And you give that up for religion, to suffer and to deny yourself. You choose to be black, African American, colored, Indian, Latino, all of these bywords. That's somewhere in Deuteronomy chapter 28, somewhere around 43, 46, 49. These bywords that denationalize you, disconnect you from your bloodline. But this is exactly what they did to us. That's exactly what they did to us, y'all. Everybody see it? They denationalized us. And made us think that it is honorable. They taught us that it is honorable to suffer, when in fact it is not. That it's honorable. Self-denial is honorable. It's moral. It is not. Natural law says, do no harm. Don't harm anyone, including yourself. So that's just moderation. You don't have to deny yourself. You can have an excess today. Hold on now. You can have an excess of something today, and that's cool. You can go out, drink as much as you want today, eat as much as you want today, but tomorrow and the next day, give your body a chance to recuperate. Well, you're still modest. The problem would be what? If you do it to the extreme, let's say if you're drinking alcohol, you do it to the extreme and you get alcohol toxicity. That might cost you your life. Well, that's just being stupid, right? But to go out and have 2, 3, 4 glasses of wine, heck, even 5, in one day, what's wrong with that? Tomorrow, next week, the rest of the month, don't drink anything. Your body can recuperate and recover and heal itself, right? As long as you're not doing that all the time, no problem. You don't have to deny yourself. You should not harm yourself, right? And if you feel okay after 5 glasses of wine, that's great. But if you do that every day, or even every other day, or 2, 3 times a week, well, you're going to pay a price for that. But your body will tell you that. Your body will tell you that. Right? And when your body starts talking to you, that means you are what? You're harming yourself. That means you're harming yourself. So that means what? That means stop. That means stop. Do no harm. That's when you would do what? That's when you would take a hiatus from eating. Start drinking lots of pure, clean, mineral water. Your water fast. To initiate autophage or autophagy. Your body's self-repair mechanism. See, Christianity has us all messed up in the head. But of course, it's intended to. It wouldn't be doing what it's supposed to do if it didn't have you messed up in the head. Let me switch seats. Maybe that will help me. Hold on, y'all. I'm gonna order something else. So they don't. Since I'm using their stuff, I'm gonna order something. Am I? Oh yeah. Am I? Let me have. Do you have crushed ice? Give me 1 second, y'all. I need to get something. Do you have crushed ice? Smoothie? Smoothie? You have? Smoothie? No smoothie?
Yes.
None. You have? Huh? Hold on, y'all. Smoothie, yes or no?
No.
Do you have peach tea? Now give me a large peach tea, okay? What? This one? What's that? Okay, this one. How much? What's the price?
Small.
No, large.
Wobble.
Peach? Wait. You see that one? Peach. This one. This one. Yeah, that one. Okay. Here.
49,000.
No, I want extra large.
55,000.
Oh yeah. I pay you later, okay? I pay later. Hold on. Give me 1 second, y'all. She want her money now. All right. So I had to do something. All right, I'm back, y'all. Give me 1 second. Okay. My signal keeps going out. I don't know what's happening, but y'all bear with me. I'm gonna keep going. All right. So self-denial. That's BS. I hope everybody sees that. Okay? Notice this, y'all. Suffering and self-denial are necessary parts of following Christ. Mark chapter 8, verse 34. We can only realize our true divinity by relinquishing it. This is the most absurd and disgraceful statements I've ever heard. Sometimes I look back and it's hard to believe that I was once a Christian. I was once devoted to this stuff for decades, y'all. For the majority of my adult life. When you know that you're in the covenant of grace, you know that you don't need to suffer and that you are not supposed to suffer. You're supposed to live well. You're supposed to have it all and enjoy it. Y'all hear? I'm going to repeat it. When you are aware, when you know that you are in the covenant of grace, you're born into it. You didn't have any choice. You had no say in it. This is it? Why don't you feel it? It's okay. Look at this, y'all. Look at this. They give me a cup. I bought tea. I don't know how they do things where y'all at, but where I come from, you fill the cup. But they didn't. I won't complain. This is called foreigner treatment. All right, y'all. Look at this. Let me show y'all this. Now this, mind you, this cup has ice. It has ice. Let me show y'all. Look at the level in the cup. I paid $3 for this. Y'all see the tea level? It's about 1 inch in the cup. Would y'all feel cheated, or is it just me? Anyway, I ain't gonna trip. It's just $3. Unbelievable. But this is foreigner treatment, y'all. So this technique that they do, I don't care what country you go to in Asia, they will do that to you. The whole game is to make you buy more, make you spend more money. That's why they do that. Some people will do it out of disrespect, out of, to insult you. But usually, my experience is that they do it to make you spend money. And they have no shame in it. I remember going to restaurants, not in Vietnam. This is in Philippines. I would go to restaurants with a group of people, Filipinos. We order. Everybody comes out. Robo writes, "You were cheated." Yeah. Yeah. Everybody, food comes out. Looks great. Nice proportion. They bring mine out. It's less than half of what they got for everybody else. And guess what? And those of you, if y'all listening, those of you who've been to the Philippines, you know what I'm talking about. You go to the restaurant, 10 of y'all. You don't know what's happening. You think everybody's going to pay their own bill. No. Everybody claims they ain't got no money. And then you got to pay the bill. You got to pay the bill. And you got half a plate. You got less than half of what everybody else got. And you need to pay the bill. And nobody tells you this. Nobody tells you this until the bill comes. And you thought they were all your friends. The first time that happens, you should know not to go out in a group like that again, right? But a lot of foreigners, they get taken for a ride every time. So I stopped going out with people. Anyway, I'm just gonna ignore it. I've been in Asia since I think 2007, 2008, y'all. I'm used to this kind of stuff. no longer really bothers me. But let's go. I want to continue to the point. The point here is suffering and self-denial. That means what? That means giving up your birthright and being happy about it. Feeling like you did a service to your Creator by giving up your birthright. You did a service to your deity. Quote unquote, you did a service to God by giving up your birthright. So now you have nothing. You have no standing in law. You can be beaten up, shot down in the street, bullied and disgraced in their legal system, in their venues. Yet, you should not defend yourself. Why? You need to suffer. Somebody slap you, turn the other cheek. That's what they taught us in Christianity, right? Y'all see it? They gave you a religion to make you into a good bondman or good bondwoman, not realize that you are in bondage. Let's continue because it ain't over yet. We can only realize our true divinity by relinquishing it. Okay? That means all that you have, your birthright, you got to give it up. Give it to the church. And you didn't know that in the whole process of you doing that, that your heirs, you're giving up ownership of your heirs. Yes, your heirs are your property. You give that to the nation state that's owned by the church, okay? The Catholic Church. Let's continue. In the letter to the Philippines, chapter 2, verse 5 through 8, Paul expresses these same sentiments this way. Listen, y'all. Your attitude should be the same as that of Christ. Now they're making it noble for you to be willing to suffer and not give yourself even your basic needs. That's self-denial. To go through a life of drudgery, heartache, you should be the same as that of the Christ, who, being in very nature of capital G-O-D, and y'all know capital G-O-D is an inserted word in the Hebrew scriptures. It's a loaded word, and it's nothing like what you think it is, okay? When you call on it, you invoke demons. You invoke Raphaim, Oannes, Dogon, etc. Christ did not consider equality with capital G-O-D something to be grasped, but made himself nothing. See, self-denial. And there's no relationship, when you look at this logically, there's no relationship between the things that Paul are talking about. Look, I'll show you. They have no shame, boy. No shame whatsoever. I won't buy that again. Look at this, y'all. Let's look at this logically. Christ did not consider himself equal with capital G-O-D. Christ did not consider equality, rather, with capital G-O-D to be something to be grasped. In other words, JC, the Christ figure, his aim was not to be equal with capital G-O-D. Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. If your doctrine is a Trinity, JC is already equal with the Christ. Why would he need to grasp for it? Y'all see it? Why does JC need to grasp or reach out to be equal to capital God when he is in fact already equal? This is the Trinity. Y'all hear me? This is Paul talking. So we examine what Paul is saying and it makes no sense. In the Trinity, the Father and the Son are equal. Right? They're equal in authority. And the Holy Ghost, equal. Otherwise, there's no Trinity. Plain as day, right? Now let's continue. But JC made himself nothing. Excuse me. But JC made himself nothing, taking the very nature of a servant. Y'all see that? So here you have JC, the Christ figure, who is equal to the Father, decided on his own cognition, to become a servant and to be made in human Han Uman likeness. Now I always tell y'all, whenever we see human, so that you get your words right, think Han Uman. Yeah, JC is a Raphaim. Han Uman likeness. JC is a Raphaim. In this text, the Han Uman would be what? Genesis chapter 1. Genesis chapter 1, mankind. A troglodyte. Okay? And being found in appearance as a man, in appearance, I wonder if that's if it's an appearance of a man, isn't that colorable? If it appears to be law, isn't that colorable? Y'all see it? That the appearance of a man looks like a man, but it does not have the substance of a man. Hue, isn't that color? Isn't color having the appearance of something, a symbolicum, but without the substance? Isn't that mankind? Human. And Christ being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient to death, even on a cross. That is an absolute lie. Christ was not obedient unto death. Absolutely not. Y'all go check the devil's pulpit. JC, the Christ figure, made his escape, and most likely it was Simon the Cyrenian, your Moorish brother, who they hung up on the cross in Christ's stead. Christ made his escape. So this is all BS. Christ is not your Savior. You Hebrew Israelite Christian, or you Christian. He is not your Savior. You have no propitiatory ransom sacrifice. Does not exist. And I'm not sorry to be the one to tell you that. I'm very proud to tell you that you have no propitiatory sacrifice in Christ Jesus. This so-called ransom was not a ransom at all. So the Christ figure fails to provide any evidence whatsoever that the quote-unquote Jews expected of a Messiah, the expected coming Messiah. The Christ figure provided absolutely zero evidence. And the Christ figure was not born in the tribe or the Davidic line. Y'all go back and watch the last 5, 7, 8 videos I did. You'll get that information there. He was not. So I hope you go back and research it, because I'm not going to tell you that one. And what else? JC the Christ figure escaped. He made his escape. He talked big and bad until the time came for him to actually demonstrate. And remember, Christianity is duplicity, Pisces. Deception, intentional deception. Chaos. Toxic. Little boy staring at me like he saw a ghost. Okay, so if y'all want to know more about why I can sit here and say that JC the Christ figure made his escape and let another man be or get crucified in his stead, that means that JC is responsible for that man's death, or at least partly responsible, right? Y'all heard that? So yes. He is partly responsible for Simon the Cyrenian's death, because he could have manned up and said, wait a minute, I'm the guy. I'm the one who needs to be crucified, because the whole world now, in the past, and everyone to be born in the future, their eternal salvation depends upon me willingly giving up my life on that cross. Get that man, Simon the Cyrenian, or whoever he was, get him out of there. I need to go up on that cross or that stake, or hang a strange fruit, whatever your doctrine is. JC didn't do that. He bounced. How do we know he bounced? Go check it in the Devil's Pulpit. The link to the free PDF is in the description area of this video. And we know it because the grammar tells us. So if you don't understand grammar rules, you are royally effed. Royally effed. For those of y'all who English may not be your first language or mother language, that means you are royally screwed. You're in big trouble. All right? You are going to be taken advantage of continuously. All right? So y'all make sure y'all enroll in the 101 Ancient Ibaryath course so you can learn Ancient Ibaryath, these linguistic principles. See, you cannot get away from linguistics. If you don't understand etymology, you are royally effed. There's a reason why they don't teach us this. Right? There's a reason why. And it should be obvious right now. You don't understand grammar and grammar rules. You're royally F. I can't believe they had the nerve to do this. Y'all see I took a sip or two and ate. Look at that. I think I ate 2 peaches. Hold on, y'all. So y'all make sure y'all take advantage of the Ancient Ibaryath books that I've made available. The links are in the description area of this video. Make sure y'all take advantage of them. Okay? Don't just sit here listening to me do these videos. You have to act. You have to do something. Buy the books. Subscribe to the one-on-one Ancient Ibaryath class. Come to the 506, the Curses course, live every Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Buy the books. Start learning. You need to see this stuff for yourself. Otherwise, I'm just somebody talking. Okay? So the grammar tells us that JC bounced. So Paul ain't doing nothing but what? Talking SHIT. It sounds good. He's talking SHIT. That's it. And we bought it. That's the important part. We bought it. Right? We bought it. Why? Because we... All right. So let's continue. This principle of kenosis, now this is not a principle, y'all. This is not a principle. This is a Christian principle. But this is not a natural law principle. The principle of kenosis, which means self-emptying. Our divine nature is only realized to the extent that we serve the divine in other people. In the Gospel of Mark, no sooner are we apprised of JC's glory, that's Leo. Remember, the sun is at its highest point in the northern sky, the northern part of space, that's Leo. That's the hottest time of the year, the beginning of Leo, right? The sun is raging on earth, a raging lion. Okay, so we are apprised of JC's glory, that is Leo. Then we are given clear instructions about the necessity of humility. Okay, so now we see humility, which is in the table on page 29. Page 22, rather. We see now humility. Okay? Hold on. So, let me continue. I'm just going to scan through a little bit more, y'all, see if I see anything else interesting. How about this, y'all? What do y'all think about this verse? Mark chapter 9, verse 35. Okay, here we are. Or there's a mosquito that's bothering me. Okay, so here we go, y'all. Mark 9:35. If anyone wants to be first, he must be the very last and the servant of all. If anyone wants to be first, he must be the very last and be the servant of everybody. Mark 9:35. Is this true in real life, y'all? If you want to be first, have you ever been last? Have you ever been last, y'all? Huh? Has being last ever put you in first place? Has being a servant to all ever got you in first place? You know what happens? My experience in life, when I was a Christian, see, I lived this stuff out. That's how I know. I lived it. If you want to be first, be last. Be the most humble. Be willing to do things for anybody and everybody. Where you know where that gets you? People will disrespect you. They'll think you don't love yourself. Y'all hear me? They'll think you don't love yourself. Or they'll see you as a doormat. Or they'll see you as an easy victim. Y'all hear me? And they will walk over you. They'll step on you like a worm. Okay, I know this for a fact. I know it for the fact. If you want to be first, don't be a servant to all. No, you want to be first, set an example of what others could be for them to aspire to. If you want to be first, be first. And through the glory of your personality and material success, your abundance, see, your demonstration that you are what? A quote-unquote God. Your demonstration that you are a, connotatively speaking, God, your shine inspires people. Your person, I'm not just talking about material things. I'm also talking about your personality, right? Being an honor. your honorable personality and honor in all that you do. See, these will eventually give you an abundant life. An abundant life. Okay, you'll be in a position where you have the resources and wisdom to help other people. So if you want to be first, you better have some money, some fiat to help those you care for. Or if you want to help strangers, you better have some fiat. You better have some ability to manifest. You better have some demonstration, some manifestations of your godship. Otherwise, sit down. See, you can demonstrate generosity. You can demonstrate having compassion on people who have less than you, or who have, or even who are working on overcoming negative personality traits, negative behaviors that you either had at one point, but you were able to overcome them, right? Or that you've never seen, but you can look at them and tell their level of development. So you being Christ, right? Remember, Christ and the devil, higher self, lower self. You being in your higher self, you being the Christ, you look at them and you have compassion on them. You don't have to respond tit for tat, right? Have compassion. You have the ability to do that. But if you are last, you're effed. Nobody gonna respect you. And if you have something, they're going to try to take it from you or team up against you to take it. Why? Because you're an easy target. See, it don't cost them anything. So they just come at you and keep coming at you non-stop because you ain't punched nobody in the eye yet. Right? You ain't made them pay a cost. It's all free. Okay, he further reduces their sense of self-importance. So what I'm trying to say is this, y'all. These concepts or this principle that they're talking about here in the New Testament, many of them I have lived for decades, and I found through practical experience that they don't work. If they don't work, that means they're not principles. A principle is immutable. You cannot avoid it. Okay? If anyone wants to be first, he must be the very last. Absolutely not. If you're the leader, first of all, if you appoint yourself as a leader, in most cases, those who you are leading will rebel against you, directly or indirectly. Groups, highly functioning teams, they select the leader through a process of turmoil. A leader emerges. The leader should lead by demonstration. Don't ask somebody or tell somebody to do something that you yourself are not already doing, or everyone knows that you've done it. But that's not putting yourself last. That's making yourself what? That's conditioning you to blindly follow instructions by your religious leaders and to be a servant to all. No. That's not what leadership is about. Okay? This is sweet talk BS. To condition you, as I said before, to blindly follow your religious doctrine and religious leaders. He further reduces their sense of self-importance by taking a child in his arms and explaining that receiving such a child is receiving Christ. And receiving Christ is receiving capital G-O-D. Now that's manipulative to me. This is Mark chapter 8, 36 through 37. A child, first of all, a child is not demanding you and intimidating you. If you don't accept Christ as the Son of God, then you're going to die and burn in hell. Child's not doing that. But this is what the deity is doing. So how can you like accepting a child but there's no intimidation factor, there's no terrorism factor? A child is a child. Not going to hurt you. But this deity will hurt you if you don't follow its doctrine. If you don't follow the religious leaders, you're going to die and burn in hell. Y'all see what I'm saying? Thinking, critical thinking. Mark chapter 8, 36 and 37. The child stands as a perfect symbol of Virgo. All right, so now here we get to the little children again. Mercury rules childhood, and as we have seen, the child is a central figure in Mercury. I'm sorry, not in Mercury, in Virgo. We might note that Matthew reflects the Virgo character of this passage even more clearly than Mark does. This is Matthew 18:4. Therefore, whoever humbles himself like this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Matthew 18:4. Now, what do we know about children? What do we know about children, y'all? Children are naive. Children are naive. They trust. And you can harm a child, and the child will still love you and still trust you. So why would an adult want to have the frame of mind as a child? Now, I know the religious spin, the Christian spin on that. But even that doctrine, when you think about that, it absolutely makes no sense. See, when you become a man, you're supposed to what? Give up the milk. Give up the things of a child, and you become a man. But now here it's telling you, what? You need to humble yourself like a child. For me, it's a contradiction. But in the practical world, a man or a woman who humbles himself like a child will be treated like a child. And worse, why? Because you're an adult. You're supposed to have more sense than that. Right? Islam to all the Moors. I'm Dr. Yusapa from Zion Law School. If you want to support my project, well, let me repeat that. I'm asking everyone in the audience to support my project to write the book of the law in Ancient Ibaryath and modern English, to put the etymology for every word in it so you can see it. Also to put the parts of speech and other information for analysis, to put that there. Very importantly, to restore nature and natural law and constitutional law principles and concepts in the book of the law. Jeremiah 8, chapter 8, Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 8 shows us that lies have been written into the book of the law. And I want to correct those with your support, with broad-based support. So you can send the support to my PayPal, which is paypal.me/Zion Law School. The link is in the description area of this video. You can also support by buying my books. I have links to many of my books. Buy them on my website, y'all. And let me say thank you in advance to everyone who's already supported the project or who have bought my books or enrolled in my classes. So thank you very much. But don't sit on the fence. Take action. Exert your strong masculine energy. Don't sit there and be a you-know-what while your oppressor exerts his masculine energy that is overpowering yours, which is causing you to think what you think and do what you do because you don't realize that you are under a spell. Islam to all the Moors and Shalom, y'all. See y'all back in 12 to 24 hours.